Hello everyone, it's me again with Then and There. I have two more journals to share with you guys. These are um, like they're narrow wraparound journals, they're fabric covered, and they're very similar. So I'm going to go into detail on one of them and then kind of just quickly flip through the other. So we'll just start with this one, I guess. So there is a vintage skeleton key. It is an authentic antique tied onto the sari silk here, which just wraps around several times. The cover is this beautiful tapestry, which has been layered with some other fabrics. There is a little metal filigree here layered with some leather and lace and a couple of vintage buttons stitched on. There's the whole thing. When we open it up, we have a vintage image here of a man and a woman that have been horseback riding, layered with some fibers and a card behind it. This was a vintage postcard, and it has beautiful stitching, and I've left the stitches long. I've left this so that it can fray, and it will continue to fray more, but once it gets to the stitches, it will stop fraying. So the theme of this book is love, because when I see this picture, I just think of a couple possibly courting, or they could be, a newlywed couple or something like that, that are just going out on a date, and they went horseback riding. On the inside, like I said, the fabric is layered with this canvas fabric, so it's not real thick. It gives a nice feel to it when it wraps around the book. It just feels really comfortable. We have a lace pocket, large lace pocket that runs throughout the entire thing. Make sure you can see everything. In here is a small little journal with some mixed papers in it and coffee dyed papers. Did some stamping on it and did this quote, "Life's most beautiful things are not seen with the eyes but felt with the heart." A glassine bag stitched on here that flips out, and inside is a index card which is coffee dyed, stamped, and put a little cluster up there with a vintage button. This is also stamped, and this is sari silk. A fold out here with a cluster, some fabrics, a little bit of text stamping, a little label here stitched on with some cheesecloth, a vintage photo from a school, or a university I should say, layered with some papers and some alcohol inked tape, a little bit more stamping, lots of coffee dyed papers. There's lots of room in these journals to write. Some vintage lace stitched down here, or I should say crocheted trim. It's sort of like lace. Some stamping and some of that tape, a little bit of writing space here with a rose washi sticker. Some vintage writing paper here, ledger paper, a little cluster. I keep wanting to say the word cluster. I don't know why. A tuck spot with some papers layered up there. This is a journaling spot, and I just did some stamping here with a like a perpetual calendar. You can mark the date on there. And some more stamping. A glassine envelope, which I've put and made a little pocket. A label and some more papers. This says gentleman and gentleman-like. A little vintage image printed out to make a journaling card. Maybe I'll just do that like that. Some more paper here with some torn edge on it. Like I said, I left all the strings pretty long. Got some what is that called? Some fabric trim, that's what it's called, stitched on there. Some stamping, and that folds out. A vintage receipt layered with some paper stapled on there, and I did some stamping on that. Another page with the torn edge. This was a playing card, which I have attached to this bag here and stitched on some lace, and inside is a tag. It says a couple. It has some fibers up there, place to journal. No, I just want to show you. You can see the the playing card through the glassine bag. Some more stamping there. Space to journal. Some collaged papers, and I did some stenciling on here and another washi sticker. Some stamping. Got some fabric and lace stitched on there, and a little tag with a flower stamped on it. Some more stenciling. Here is a tuck spot with some trim, and I just put some coffee dyed paper in there with some stamping on it, and you can do some journaling on that. This is a vintage cover of a little booklet that was filled with postcards. Made a pocket out of that, and this is a vintage postcard. Beautiful roses on there. It does not have a year, but you can see it's embossed. It's just a beautiful postcard. Some collaged papers here with some vintage ledger and some stitching. Another washi sticker of a butterfly and some fabric. Coffee, splattered some coffee on there. Did a little collage here with some stenciled flower and some seam binding. Put some of that dyed tape on there, the faux sellotape. An envelope on here, which I did some stamping and added a vintage stamp to it, and then just grunged up some coffee dyed paper and did some stamping on there. It says lovely. In the back pocket here is a vintage postcard from France, and a, what is this called? Oh my goodness, I can't think. A card that says love you always, and it has the letter L on there. I cannot remember what those are called, but yeah. Also, I just wanted to point out I did stitching along the entire cover to just hold that fabric secure and add a little bit of detail. Also, I'll just set this one aside for now. And I'll just quickly flip through this one. This one has a theme as well. It is friendship, and I'll show you why in just a moment. There's a butterfly metal piece there and some lace, and again, some more buttons layered with some leather. This is a, it's like a corduroy type fabric. And you can see it has this stitching all along it as well. The same canvas on the interior. Here's the reason I did friends, because we have these two ladies here that have their bags, and they are going to work. This was also a vintage postcard, layered up with some fabrics and fibers, and some beautiful stitching. Long strings again, and I left the edges frayed, and they will continue to fray. Another one of those little booklets there. A different kind of lace on the pockets. Everything is very similar though, so I will just quickly kind of flip through. Butterfly, it says remember. More of that trim. This pocket here has that same coffee dyed paper, little flower stamp. Same papers, a little bit of tape down here. This was the corner of a vintage handkerchief with a little flower decal on there and some lace. A vintage image printed out on some card for some journaling. The perpetual calendar on here. This little collage here says gentility, gentle and gentle folk. Some trim stitched on here. A key stamped on this vintage receipt. A vintage playing card and lace. This one says in a moment. A little collage, some stenciling, vintage photograph, a little collage on here. Happy birthday greetings. Again, no year, but it is embossed and it has handwriting on the back. It's just beautiful. This was the back cover of that little booklet of postcards. Some stamping. Seam binding. A little collage with a vintage photo and vintage ledger. And this, oh, I stitched it. Well, it makes a tuck spot. It's it was supposed to fold out, but I stitched it closed, so now it makes a little tuck spot. You can tuck something in there. And in here, it's the same stamped coffee dyed paper for journaling. And here is another vintage postcard of these two ladies. It says a couple of peaches. I love this postcard. I kind of hate to part with it. It's 1909, and she refers to her friend as Peaches in the note that she wrote. Another index card, I guess it was called Friends Forever, and the letter F on that one. And so these will be listed in my Etsy, which is in the link. The link will be in the description, and some more details will be on there as far as number of pages and whatnot. Let me just quickly show you approximate size. This one is a little bit taller because I left this fringe up here, which I really liked. So about 10, I'd say about 10 and a half on that one by approximately 5 inches. And of course, as you stuff it and fill it up, they'll get a little bit bigger. But yeah, do let me know what you think of these, and go check out the description over on Etsy. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.